All right, guys, welcome back to Declare Independence. It is January 5th, a little past 7 p.m. in California. So, this is a very monumental day, regardless of what happens tomorrow. January 5th, the runoff elections in Georgia are being counted right now. As of right now, obviously, this video is going to age really poorly, really quickly, but as of right now, 82% of the voter is in, and the lead is slowly growing for the red candidates, which is interesting. And I'm not sure if we're going to have a repeat of the general election with the president where some stuff's going to get counted late in the middle of the night. I don't think Trump fans are going to allow that to happen. So it's really interesting to see how things are developing. When I was paying attention to what was going on, it was my opinion based on the November results and some of the things I've heard from both candidates that Perdue had a good chance to win narrowly and Loeffler would likely lose. I mean, if you added up the percentages that the Republican candidates got in November for the special election, I think the Republicans held a narrow advantage, but the opponent that she was running against actually won the I guess the plurality of votes. He got around 31%. She only got like 25%. So it wasn't like she was widely popular. She just happened to have an R next to her name. Whereas Perdue like basically won the election already. He won by around 2 points, and those 2 points that were missing that would have helped him get over the top went to a libertarian candidate who tend to lean more conservative. By default, they're kind of like de facto Republicans almost. So I would safely assume that he would win. Not to mention that he said if he were president, he would support the protesting of the election or contesting the election. Whereas Loeffler was not willing to say that if she were president, that she would do so. And I think that doesn't really bode well with getting now you have to understand the way that the voting works. It really is a popularity contest in a lot of ways. So there were people that probably came out and voted in November just because Trump was on the ballot, right? And if you come out, the people that didn't vote because Trump was on the ballot, they're still going to go out and vote anyways. They're still going to be there. But you have to make sure you incentivize that percentage of people, probably in the like 5 to 10% range, that voted solely because Donald Trump was on the ballot. And if you don't support the person that they like, they're not coming out for you. And that could be the difference. Perdue was loosely willing to say that he did support the president, whereas Loeffler was not committed to that. And I think, if there is a truckload of ballots that comes in the middle of the night, it'll be to her demise. Now, why is this important either way? It's, at this rate, and this is an opinion, pending bloodshed in the streets in DC tomorrow, it's my opinion that Joe Biden will be the president. He's going to be the president. I'm sorry. Do I like that idea? Not really, but that's kind of the life we're living, unless something monumental and historic happens in the next 24 hours. But tonight is the difference between having checks and balances and not. If both Senate seats in Georgia are blue, it means there will be basically a wave of policy changes that happen, including adding seats to the Supreme Court. A wave of policy and social changes that happen with very little opposition at all, if any. Only the most radical positions will be bucked by possibly moderate Democrats, and they may vote no. But otherwise, there is literally no end to what the Democrats can do in a 4-year period of time if they get straight to work with no opposition. And that's why it really is important to have checks and balances, which we've had for a really long time in America. And it's, a lot of people say it creates a stalemate where not a lot gets done. But in a lot of ways, the founding fathers didn't want a lot of radical changes to take place. And you might say, well, that's not ideal for progress. But I mean, like it or lump it, America's been on top for quite a long time, and we haven't really changed a lot of what we do in this country. We're really the only major country that allows gun ownership in the Western world, and we do have tragedies from time to time that are awful and terrible, but for the most part, our country's getting along just fine. We're getting along just fine. So there are a lot of civil liberties that haven't been stripped yet. Even, you can argue COVID or no COVID, my life's still pretty dang good. I'm living in Southern California. I can still eat pretty much all the things I want to eat. Maybe I'd like to sit in restaurants more often than I've been able to, and not sit in an indoor setting, but or vice versa to do it. But my life is still pretty good. And the way we keep it that way is having checks and balances. That way, no one party, even if it's the party that you like, can radically transform the country in one direction that'll piss off a lot of people who don't agree with those policies. So tonight's very important. I don't know what's going to happen. The way it looks on paper, you would think in a normal world that this is kind of over. It's pretty much over. But we live in a world where Dominion voting machines are definitely in Georgia. And so if there's any validity at all to those claims, we're going to find out tonight. You're going to see, and they'll spin the story, all the mail-in ballots haven't been counted yet, this, that, and the other. If the vote totals exceed what they were in November, it'll be awfully surprising. And then there will be some questions that need to be answered. Where do these votes come from? Why are these people not voting in November in a historic election, but they come out for the Senate races? Obviously, they don't care about politics that much, or else they would have voted for president. At least, people understand what that represents. But we're gonna see. Tonight is the Christmas Eve. Tomorrow is the Christmas. It's pretty poor comparison. Tonight's Super Bowl Eve, and tomorrow is the Super Bowl. So let's see how Super Bowl Eve goes tonight. Get your popcorn ready. Maybe I'll make another video when the night gets a little bit later. As always, God bless. Have a great night.